Before we started taping, I actually pulled together a small group of people to go through the same process that you went through in part one. So they've gone through their biggest, wildest dreams and done everything that you've done, and so now they're ready for part two. And I'm going to take them through that process, one, so that you can get a sense for really how to do the process. It makes it simpler, it's a lot easier. There's also content in your material that will explain very specifically, step by step, what to do, but you'll also have a visual aid to see how I walk someone else through that process as well. What's great about this is that some of the challenges and questions that come up for Sarah, we actually have Sarah as our participant here, some of the questions and challenges that come up for her might be some of the same challenges that come up for you. So at the same time that I'm coaching Sarah through this process, I'm actually going to be coaching you. And so what's great about that is that you'll have all the tips, the tools, the techniques, and so on to really get the most from this process as well. So thanks, Sarah, for being here. For the interest of time, we've already put Sarah's 10 passions up, and so you should have your 10 to 15 list as well, and I explained in CD1 how to go about doing that, so we should be able to get through this process fairly quickly. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a series of questions, which is going to force Sarah to be able to figure out which passion is most important to her. She can have one or the other, but not both. And this is a very common technique that's done with personality tests, with quizzes, with a lot of scientific experiments and so forth. And this process, once you learn it, is something that you can do for yourself. You can do it when you're strategically planning. So if you're trying to figure out for a project you're trying to do, which tasks should I do first, which ones are most important, so on and so forth, you can use the same process if you're trying to figure out which qualities are most important to you and a husband or wife or what have you. You can use the same process. But a woman named Janet Atwood actually did it for dreams and for goals, and I thought it was a really powerful way to be able to get clarity on what it is that you want. So as we go through this process with Sarah, please take a few notes and learn how you can do it for yourself as well. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and you'll be able to choose from that answer one or the other, but you cannot do both. So I'm going to force you to make one choice. Okay? So you have the choice first of either becoming a chef and opening a restaurant, or you can travel the world. One or the other, but not both. Which would you choose?
Number 2.
Okay. You can travel the world, or you can become a DJ and open up your own club. One or the other, but not both.
Number 2.
Okay. You can travel the world, or you can get another motorcycle. One or the other, but not
number
both.
2.
Okay. You can travel the world, or you can do photography. One or the other, but not both.
Number 5.
Okay, so you would choose photography. And so at this place, this is really important because we've gone through the whole process, so we know that for Sarah, photography is the most important. And so there's no need to go back and compare that to 1, 2, 3, and 4, because we already knew that traveling the world was more important than becoming a DJ and getting another motorcycle. So I give you that quick tip because some folks, either the engineers or the techies in the room, you get that really quick, and so you can understand that shortcut. If you don't quite get that, it's totally fine. You can still just go back through the process and compare one to the other. It just takes you a little more time. So where there's shortcuts, I'm definitely going to give that to you. But again, we can start now with photography and then just compare it to the rest of the list, and that's a quick way to get through the process faster. So Sarah, you can either do photography or you can be a makeup artist.
Photography.
Okay. You can either do photography or you could become a psychologist or therapist. Which would you choose?
Photography.
You can do photography or you can move to Vancouver. One or the other.
Photography.
You could do photography or you could become a personal chef. One or the other, but not both.
Photography.
Okay. You can do photography or you could play the piano. One or the other.
Photography.
Okay. So for Sarah, her number 1 passion was photography. So we'll go back up to the top. We know that of the first 2, traveling the world was the most important. We also know that traveling the world was more important than 3 and 4. And so we can now compare traveling the world to being a makeup artist. One or the other, but not both.
Traveling the world.
Okay. So you can travel the world or you could become a psychologist or therapist.
Travel.
You can travel the world or you can move to Vancouver.
Travel.
You could travel the world or you could become a personal chef. One or the other, but not both.
Travel.
You can travel the world or you can play the piano.
Travel.
Okay? So traveling the world is number 2. So now, Sarah, we've got your number 2 passion here. So now we'll start again. You can become a chef and open your own restaurant, or you could become a DJ and open your own club. One or the other, but not both.
A chef.
Okay? You can become a chef or you can get another motorcycle.
A chef.
You can become a chef, or you could do makeup artistry.
Chef.
You could become a chef, or you could become a psychologist and a therapist. Which would you choose?
A chef.
You could become a chef, or you could move to Vancouver.
Chef.
You could become a chef, or you could play the piano.
Chef.
Okay? So number 3 for you would be to become a chef and open your own restaurant. So now you could become a DJ and open your own club, or you could get another motorcycle.
DJ.
You could become a DJ, or you could do makeup artistry.
DJ.
You could become a DJ, or you could become a psychologist. One or the other, but not both.
DJ.
I got a smile. We can become a chef, or a DJ and open your own club, or you could move to Vancouver.
DJ.
You could become a DJ, or you could become a personal chef. One or the other, but not both.
DJ.
You could be a DJ, or you could play the piano.
DJ.
Okay, so being a DJ is number 4. So now you can get another motorcycle, or you could do makeup artistry. Which would you choose?
Makeup artistry.
You could do makeup artistry, or you could become a psychologist. Which would you choose?
Psychologist.
You could become a psychologist, or you can move to Vancouver.
Psychologist.
You could become a psychologist, or you could become a personal chef. One or the other, but not both.
Psychologist.
You could become a psychologist, or you could play the piano.
Psychologist.
Okay, so this is number 5. And so the way that it lays out for you, the most important thing in terms of your top passion is photography, followed by traveling the world, and then becoming a chef and opening your own restaurant, becoming a DJ and opening your own club, and then lastly becoming a psychologist and a therapist. So you've got lots of interests and lots of things that are important to you. But if you were going to list out for yourself your level of fulfillment in each one of these areas, and I want to be clear, because this is not about how excited I am about doing this or how important it is to me. It is in my life right now, how fulfilled and how satisfied am I in this particular passion and doing this particular passion. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being completely unsatisfied, I'm doing nothing with it, 10 being, you know what, I'm living my dream, I'm doing it, how would you rate yourself?
A 2.
So a 2 for becoming a chef. Okay. For traveling the world, how would you rate yourself?
4.
A 4. For becoming a DJ and opening your own club, how would you rate yourself?
7.
Okay. For photography, how would you rate yourself in level of satisfaction?
6.
6. And for becoming a psychologist and a therapist, how would you rate yourself in terms of satisfaction?
1.
Okay. Okay. And so what I want you to do now, and I'm actually going to walk Sarah through this process because this is the next phase of what you do. You're actually going to go through this process. You'll figure out your own passions. And at this stage, you can do it with yourself and go through the process with yourself. But I would encourage you to have a partner or have someone else who can hold you accountable, because sometimes our goals and our dreams are so closely aligned that we cheat. And, well, I don't know which one I want to choose. And so if you have someone else that's administering, like they're playing the coach and they're doing that role for you, then they can hold you accountable and really push you when your life is ideal, which one would you choose, and really force you. Sarah was really easy. She was pretty clear about what was important. There was only a couple places where it was like, oh, I don't know. But for the most part, she was pretty decisive. Most people are not nearly that decisive. So it'll be very helpful for you to have someone that's a partner there that can help you. When you go through the exercise about doing the level of satisfaction, you're going to find some really interesting things as well. And I'm going to demonstrate that with Sarah from the questions that I asked her. So Sarah, why would you say that your level of satisfaction is a 1 when it comes to being a psychologist or a therapist?
Well, I have no training in it. I have no experience with it. It's just a desire that I have.
Okay. How much of it do you do on a regular basis or with
None.
friends? Okay.
None.
And so you rate yourself as a 7 when it comes to becoming a DJ and opening your own club.
Well, right now I book DJs, so I kind of manage a couple of nights at a club now, and I've done some DJing, like bedroom DJing, and I have a lot of friends, so it's really available to me to learn if I want to.
Okay, awesome. The thing that I want you to notice, and I'm actually going to go ahead and demonstrate it. So this we kind of set up in somebody's living room to be able to show you how easy this is to do, but I'm going to explain the next phase of the process. Kind of, I consider it step 3. You've done part 1, which is the get your wildest dreams. You've done part 2, which is identifying what your passions are and prioritizing them. And then step 3 is really being able to see how this maps out in your life. And I'm going to show you something very profound as it related to Sarah and how it's also going to map out for you as well. We've still got Sarah's 5 passions, and I'm going to step over here and create the wheel of life. Now my wheel looks a little like a wobbly egg, but that's okay. And this is actually in your written material, so you'll be able to download this and do this yourself. But imagine this is your wheel, and we're going to call this our wheel of life. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think I did this right. And so on the outside of the wheel is a level 10. On the inside is a level 1. And this is going to correspond to your level of satisfaction. So each one of the pies or spokes or whatnot in the wheel is going to correspond to one of your passions. So for Sarah, we'll say one of these is becoming a chef. Okay? We'll say the other one is traveling the world. We'll say a third one is photography. We'll say a fourth one, I feel like I'm missing something, is the DJ. And then the 5th one is becoming a psychologist. Okay? So what's interesting here is you're going to take your wheel, and again, you're going to start with the level of satisfaction 1 to 10, and there's little spokes on your wheel. I'm not going to go through all of that just for the sake of time. But the point here is that for Sarah, for becoming a chef and opening a restaurant, her level of satisfaction was 2. So on your document, you're going to just go through the spokes on your wheel. You're going to go up to a level 2, and then a 2 on the other side, and you're just going to connect them just like that. And then you're going to shade it in. For traveling, her level of satisfaction was a 4. So it's a little bit higher. For photography, her level of satisfaction was a 6. So that's a little bit higher than that. And again, you're just going to shade in each section as I'm describing it there. For becoming a DJ and opening her own club, she was a 7. So that was the highest one. And then for becoming a psychologist, she was a 1. So she's barely on the map here on the psychologist. And so what's interesting is that, when I talked to Sarah and I asked her, why did you rate yourself as a 7 when it came to being a DJ? And she just shared, well, I do these things for friends, I'm a bedroom DJ, so on and so forth. So it's something that she's actively engaged in. So oftentimes people look at their lives and they're wondering why they're satisfied or unsatisfied. And it has nothing to do with whether or not you've reached your goal. It has everything to do with whether or not you're actively engaged in participating in your goal. So obviously she has not become a DJ and she's not opened her own club necessarily, but she's doing so much around her passion that in that area of her life she's extremely satisfied. So basically what you focus on in your life expands. And so when you're focusing on something that you want, naturally you're going to be happier, you're going to be more successful, you're going to be more engaged as you do it. When it came to becoming a psychologist, her level of satisfaction was a 1. And it wasn't that she was necessarily unhappy, but she said, I have no experience, I've done nothing, I haven't learned anything about it. It's just kind of at this stage, it's a dream and a desire. And so many of us have dreams and desires that are burning in our hearts, and we're doing nothing with them. And that's why when we look at our lives, we're operating on the average at a 3 and a 4 in our lives, because the areas that are important, we're not really fulfilling. And the areas that are unimportant, so if we're in jobs we hate or relationships we're not happy with, that gets so much of our time and our focus that our overall level of life becomes a 3, a 4, a 5, and so forth. So when you look at Sarah's wheel, like if you imagine if this is the wheel on your car, this thing is not going anywhere the way that this wheel is looking. And so some of us, our wheels look just like that. And so we can have an area where we're doing fantastic. Well, I have this great relationship, I'm so in love, I'm so happy, I don't understand why I'm so melancholy. And the reason is because the areas that are so important to you, you're bumping around on the plane. And that's why when you start to look at your life as a whole, you're less fulfilled. So when you start to focus on the areas that you've already identified as being important, then the whole landscape of your life changes.